I would like to welcome everyone to today's session, Nazariya, a series of talk shows in collaboration with Dibrugarh 24/7. My name is Ankita, student of Center for Studies in Journalism and Mass Communication, Dibrugarh University. Well, there are enough burning issues in the world today already. Today, we are here to talk about the topics that are considered a taboo in our society, which is why we are here, and truly it's an absolute honor that we have been given this opportunity to open conversations around a sensitive yet a critical topic of discussion today, which is drug abuse and rehabilitation. And we sincerely hope that these discussions today will echo an informative, meaningful, and a goal-oriented conversation. With this, I'd like to reintroduce to the esteemed panel who's with us today. Shwetank Mishra sir, IPS and Superintendent of Police, Dibrugarh. Dr. Praneet Kumar Chaudhary sir, the addiction specialist and psychiatrist. Narayan Upadhyay sir, Secretary of Pratyavartan NGO, Dibrugarh. Labana Bora ma'am, who is the President of Pratyavartan NGO, Dibrugarh. Dr. Krishna Dwara ma'am, who is the Assistant Professor at Kanoi College, Dibrugarh. And last but not the least, Rashmi Rekha Changmai ma'am, Assistant Professor of Public Relations, CSJMC, Dibrugarh University. Without taking much time again, we would like to start off with Rashmi ma'am. Your students have undertaken this initiative to stir a conversation around drug abuse and rehabilitation. Tell us about the importance of these kind of initiatives, especially when they're undertaken by the youth.
So thank you so much for the question. I actually wanted to begin my conversation by saying that I'm really proud of my students that they have taken up this initiative. This was just a mere classroom conversations that we had, and they just had a presentation around drug abuse, and we thought, why not carry it forward and actually reach out to the actual people who would need this in their lives, right? There's so many of us who have been suffering and who have seen people suffer from drug abuse and who have faced death in their life. And so really, I'm really happy that you have carried it forward, and I think this is a very good initiative, especially taken by the students and the youth, because how we see it is that drug abuse sometimes sometimes start with peer pressure. A lot of your people of your age group pressurizing you, hey, let's just experiment this, or maybe just try this. A lot of times we tend to succumb to that pressure, right? So I feel that when people of your age group start discussing about an issue as serious as this, and there's a positive conversation around this area, I feel that people of your age could feel that instead of taking the other direction, let's take in this direction, let's go forward in this direction, and instead of going forward to drugs, let's do something positive with our life. So I think this could be a very good initiative, and this could be a very good direction for youngsters in general to carry forward. Thank you.
Now, slowly diving deep into the topic, the next question is to Dr. P.K. Chaudhary sir. So the word drug is a very misplaced word. I mean, you use it in a medical terminology, drug, and on the other hand, it is also a word which has an absolute negative connotation. So, how would you like to, or could you share with us as to how could we start using this word correctly in our daily lives?
Thank you, moderator. Good evening to all the audience, my fellow lions sitting on the front, and the students of the CSJMC, and my fellow panelists. I welcome you all to this session from my side. Well, she has asked me a very pertinent question regarding what is drugs and how it differs from other drugs, so-called used drugs. So, drugs is a chemical substance when consumed by a person, knowingly or unknowingly, and it goes to the system. There are different routes of taking drugs, like the oral route, the nasal route, by snuffing, by smoking, and by so many so forth, by injectable route. All these routes are available. One question I ask to you: want to ask the audience, is aspirin is a drug? Aspirin? Hello? Is it a drug? Is paracetamol is a drug? Okay. Is petrol is a drug? Petrol? Dandruff is a drug? So all are drugs. It's not like that. See, actually drugs is a misnomer, as you mentioned. Drugs is something which is consumable for medicinal purpose, right? So drugs have to be consumed for medicinal purpose. It goes system and it works to cure the disease or whatever the problem is, the antibiotic or whatever it is. But the term should be the substance. Drug is no more used. It is a very old term. The terminology still exists because of the common people. So when I say, are you drug abuse? What drugs? Antibiotic? What? No, it is not like that. Drugs is a substance. Substance means a thing which is not consumable. Say petrol. There are a lot of people who sniff petrol, then write, for example. Even you know that shoe polish and so many so forth. There are different types of volatile substance people consume just for pleasure. It is not a drug. It is not used for any medicinal purpose. So the term drug should be replaced by substance. Nowadays we call it substance use disorder. I think this is clear to you. Right. Now again, if I can give one more minute, how it develops. Use, abuse and dependent. Then disorder. Then rehabilitation center. This is a process. This is not a single entity. Suppose I take drugs today. My friend took drugs. Say he took heroin or any other drugs for that matter. I just tasted. My friend told me, come on, have a trip. I don't know what is this. Okay, I use it. Even alcohol or even smoking. So once I start taking drug for a day, again after a few moments or few days, I feel like taking it again. Oh, it was nice. I really enjoyed that trip. So I want to have another go. So I like to have another go and I started using it again. First use, then abuse. Now this becomes abuse. Opobebohar. Bebohar pora ahile opobebohar. Right? So when you said abuse, I cannot stop it now. Every day I used to take drugs. And while taking drugs every day, I become dependent. I cannot live without drugs now. Now drugs is taking me out. Right? So this is the process. So use, abuse and dependent. So when I become dependent, I cannot give drugs. Once I give drug, I will have convulsion. I have tremors. I will have different problems. So I need to take drugs to go back to my status I used to have. So this is a process. This is not an event. Event is something that happens. Process is something, it goes over the period of time. Understood? So then I become dependent to drug. Then I have disorder. Once I have disorder, I need help. I need help from a doctor, from a specialist. So I go to a drug de-addiction clinic. I take help to give up alcohol or the what is called heroin or whatever it is. Then I get treated. Again, I feel like taking drugs. So I need some rehabilitation. Then I go to Petabatan for their health, which is organized the center for rehabilitation. So that is why we call substance use disorder.
We would like to take this question to Mishra sir. So very, very specifically, sir mentioned that how it's not drug abuse anymore, but substance abuse. So I think we might as well just change our poster details as well. So considering the problem of drug abuse or substance abuse, not just in Dibrugarh, but say across Assam, abuse rates, trends, and the necessity to have local information about this problem. How do you go about setting a problem statement which is so vast and so critical?
So I will continue from where Dr. Saab left off. You see, sir said that there is this cycle of use and abuse. But if we see drugs from the economic perspective, normal goods, they have a diminishing marginal utility. The more you have, the less craving you have for that good. But any addictive substance will have increasing marginal utility. The more you have, the more you feel like having more of it. So automatically the demand curve for drugs becomes inverse. Normal goods, if you have more of it, the demand will diminish. Here, if you increase the price, even then the demand increases. So that is what has happened when we started going hammer and tongs after all the drug peddlers. The price of drug shot up. But that did not reduce the demand. The demand still continued just because of the economic nature of the good. So that is why you see it's such a big menace. That just by having a small dent on the supply and increasing the price thereof, had it been any other normal good, by the increase of price, the demand would have automatically fallen and the problem would have subsided. But because it is of such a nature, it's difficult to create a big impact just by hitting the supply line. We'll have to basically go and hit it at the origin, at the source itself. The entire supply has to be curbed, as well as at the demand side. I think Pratyavartan is doing a wonderful job. We need to get people out of that cycle of addiction.
I think very critical and pertinent points mentioned there. So moving to the rehab topic, the topic of rehab, the question is to Plavana ma'am. So rehab word to eta bahut ki koy ei word to birat eta mistrust, misinformed, misused word hoy. Itia ami e phase 2 hoy amar phase 1 to korute bahut khini already ami enukwa information palu from the public. Maximum negatives asile. They were like, when you hear the word rehab, there's a very negative perception about it. So what were the kind of challenges that you faced while setting up your center, and what was the purpose behind? Why did you go on setting up a rehab center?
সকলোকে সন্মান জনাইছো মই আমাৰ মঞ্চৰ উপস্থিত সুন্দৰ প্ৰশ্ন আমি যেতিয়া এই অনুষ্ঠানটো খুলিবৰ কাৰণে প্ৰথম মনতে ভাবিছিলো তেতিয়া আমি প্ৰত্যাহ্বানৰ সন্মুখীন হৈছিলো আসলতে তেতিয়া আমি জানিছিলো যে এই বস্তুটোৰ প্ৰতি যেতিয়া আমি এটা ৰিহেব চেণ্টাৰ খুলিম বা এনেকুৱা এটা কাম যেতিয়া আমি হাতত ল'ম আমি জানো আমাৰ পিছত মিত্ৰ কেতিয়াও নহয় সকলোখিনি শত্ৰু হিচাপে থিয় হ'ব প্ৰথমে বস্তুটো আহিছিল আমাৰ নাৰায়ণ উপাধ্যায় তেখেতৰ মনলৈ তেখেতে মোৰ লগত আলোচনা কৰিছিল আৰু 15 চন বিশেষকৈ আমাৰ 16 চনৰ পৰা খুব সুন্দৰভাৱে এষ্টাব্লিছ হৈছে প্ৰত্যাহ্বান এনেকুৱাও আহে আমাৰ সন্মুখত যে বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ আমি ঘাট প্ৰতিঘাতৰ সন্মুখীন হৈছোঁ পাব্লিকৰ বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ প্ৰশ্নৰ উত্তৰো আমি দিবলগীয়া হয় কিন্তু আমাৰ এটা চ্যালেঞ্জ এটোৱে আছিল যে আমি যিমানখিনি পাৰোঁ আমাৰ সাধ্য অনুসৰি বা আমি ডক্টৰসকলৰ আমাৰ পিকে চৌধুৰী ছাৰহঁতে ভালকৈ জানে তেখেতৰ ওচৰতো আমাৰ পেচেণ্ট যায় তো তেখেতলোকৰ সকলোৰে সহযোগ লৈ আমি বহুতখিনি সফল হৈছোঁ আৰু এনেকৈ আমি আগবাঢ়ি আছোঁ কাৰণ যেতিয়া এখন ঘৰত এজন এডিক্ট পাৰ্চন থাকে তেতিয়া সেই এডিক্টজনক এখন ঘৰেই চম্ভালিব নোৱাৰে বা এখন সমাজে যেতিয়া চম্ভালিব নোৱাৰা এটা অৱস্থালৈ আহে তাৰ পিছতে এখন ৰিহেবত আচলতে তেওঁলোকক গতাই দিয়ে আমাৰ হাতত গতাই দিয়ে আৰু আমি সেই বস্তুটো খুব সুন্দৰভাৱে আমি তেওঁলোকক লৈ যাওঁ আৰু তেতিয়া ধৰক এনেকুৱা এটাও হৈ যায় যে এজন পেচেণ্ট যেতিয়া থাকে আমাৰ এনেই 18 মাহীয়া এটা কোৰ্চ হয় আচলতে কিন্তু ইমানখিনি ধৈৰ্য মানুহৰ হাতত নাথাকে পেৰেণ্টছৰ হাততে নাথাকে তেওঁলোকে অলপ দিন থোৱাৰ পিছতেই যেতিয়া আমাৰ তালৈ আহে আহি পেলাই দেখে যে মোৰ ল'ৰাটোচোন সুস্থ হৈ পৰিছে তেতিয়া আমাক তেওঁলোকে বিভিন্ন ধৰণৰ কয় যে আমাক আমি ল'ৰাটো ঘৰলৈ লৈ যাব বিচাৰোঁ কিন্তু আমি তেওঁলোকক কওঁ যে না এতিয়া হোৱা নাই আৰু অলপ দিন থাকক কিন্তু তেওঁলোকে যেতিয়া মানে আকুৰ গুচ হৈ আপোনাৰ লগত লাগে তেতিয়া আমি বাধ্য হৈ কাৰণ আমি জোৰ জবৰদস্তি কৰিব নোৱাৰোঁ আমি বাধ্য হৈ তেওঁলোকক আমি আমাৰ ৰিহেবৰ পৰা আমি যেতিয়া যাবলৈ দিওঁ খুব কম সময় খুব বেছি এমাহৰ ভিতৰত আকৌ তেওঁলোক কিন্তু আমাৰ তালৈ উভতি আহে আকৌ আমাৰ তালৈ উভতি আহিছে আহি পেলাই আকৌ আমাক ধৰক অনুৰোধ জনাইছে যে এনেকুৱা তেনেকুৱা হৈছে আপোনালোকে আকৌ আমাৰ ল'ৰাজনক এডমিট কৰিব লাগে সেই তেনেকেই আৰু এতিয়া এই যিবিলাক আমি প্ৰত্যাহ্বান এটা খুব ভাল লাগে আমাৰ যে আজি আমাৰ যিখন প্ৰত্যাৱৰ্তন মিলননগৰত আছে তাত এতিয়া যিসকল ল'ৰা বিশেষকৈ যিহেতু আমাৰ ল'ৰাৰ হয় যিসকলে কৰ্মৰত হৈ আছে সেই সকলোখিনি কিন্তু এটা সময়ত এনেকৈ পেচেণ্ট হৈ আমাৰ তালৈ আহিছিল আৰু আজি সুন্দৰকৈ তেওঁলোকে সুন্দৰভাৱে কাম পৰিচালনা কৰিছে ইজনে সিজনক বুজাইছে এইটো এটা আমাৰ কাৰণে খুব ভাল এটা মানে হেৰি বুলি ভাবিছোঁ আমি এটা আৰু বিশেষকৈ আমি ৰাইজৰ সহযোগ দেই বিশেষকৈ আৰু অসম গভৰ্ণমেণ্টে যি তেতিয়াৰ পৰাই আমাৰ হিমন্ত বিশ্ব শৰ্মা ডাঙৰীয়াৰ চৰকাৰে কাৰ্যভাৰ গ্ৰহণ কৰিছে তাৰ 2 মাহৰ পিছৰ পৰাই কিন্তু তেওঁলোকে ড্ৰাগছৰ এগেইনষ্টত লাগি গৈছে আৰু প্ৰতিখন জিলাৰ প্ৰশাসনকো তেওঁলোকে এটা দায়িত্ব দিছে গতিকে মই এই চেগতে এটা কথা মই এটা অনুৰোধ জনাব বিচাৰিম আমাৰ মিষ্টাৰ ডাঙৰীয়াক যাতে তেখেতৰ মানে কৰ্মৰত অৱস্থাত যাতে আমাৰ ডিব্ৰুগড়খনক মানে ড্ৰাগছ মুক্ত কৰাৰ ক্ষেত্ৰত আমাৰ লগত তেখেতে সহযোগ আগবঢ়ায় এইটো মই আজি ইয়াৰ মঞ্চতে তেখেতৰ পৰা এটা কামনা কৰিছোঁ আৰু লগতে এটা অনুৰোধো জনাইছোঁ ধন্যবাদ
কিছুমান বহুত ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট পইণ্টছ ক'লে আই থিংক সেইখিনি আমি গোয়িং ফৰৱাৰ্ড এড্ৰেছ কৰিম 1 নম্বৰ হৈছে যোনটো আপুনি মেনশ্যন কৰিলে যোনটো এটা মিষ্ট্ৰাষ্ট আছে সেইখিনি আপোনালোকে ইন ফিউচাৰ কেনেকৈ এড্ৰেছ কৰিব নেক্সট কুৱেশ্যন আমি নাৰায়ণ উপাধ্যায় ছাৰক ক'বলৈ অনুৰোধ জনাম ছাৰ আপুনি এনেকুৱা এটা চিমিলাৰ পাথত আছিলে এজ ভিক্টিম ইফ আই মে ইউজ দ্য ৱৰ্ড চ' হোৱাট লেড ইউ টু এই ছাবষ্টেঞ্চ এবিউজৰ যোনটো ৰাস্তা এইটোত মানে কেনেকৈ হেৰি হ'ল আপুনি এইটোত ষ্টেপ কেনেকৈ ল'লে এই পাথটোত আৰু আপোনাৰ ৰোড টু ৰিকভাৰী কেনেকুৱা আছিলে
প্ৰথমে ইয়াত উপস্থিত সকলো অডিয়েঞ্চ আমাৰ অৰ্গেনাইজাৰ আৰু আমাৰ পেনেলৰ সকলো মেম্বাৰকে মই গুড ইভিনিং দিছোঁ আৰু এই প্ৰশ্নটো মোৰ লাইফত জীৱনত বহুতবাৰ মই নিজেও নিজকে কৰি থাকোঁ যে এইটো মোৰ সদায় নিৰন্তৰ মোৰ মাইণ্ডত এইটো থাকেই যিহেতু এতিয়া মই ৰিকভাৰীত আছোঁ এতিয়া পোনপ্ৰথমে এইটো খালি মোৰহে কাহিনী নহয় যিমান কেইজন আছে নিচাযুক্ত দ্ৰব্যত পৰি গৈছে বা এডিকশ্যনত সোমাই গৈছে প্ৰত্যেকৰে কাহিনী এপ্ৰক্সিমেটলি ছেইম থাকে চবৰে খালি টাইমটো অলপ প্লাছ মাইনাছ থাকে কিন্তু মোৰ সময়টো কলেজ টাইমৰ কথা সেইটো যোনটো বয়স থাকে সেইটো বয়সত প্ৰত্যেক মানুহে নিজকে অলপ মই এটা এক্সট্ৰা স্পিৰিট নিচিনা মই কিবা বেলেগ নেকি চবেই ইটো মানে নিজকে ইটোকে অলপ ভাল বুলি ভাবে বা নিজকে এক্সট্ৰা অৰ্ডিনেৰী বুলি এটা ফিল কৰে এনেকুৱা ফিলিংছ মোৰো আছিলে আৰু কিউৰিচিটিও থাকে চবেই নকৰা কাম কৰা কিবা এটা টাচ কৰি চোৱা কিনো হ'ব বা যেনেকৈ অথনি মেডামে ক'লে পিয়াৰ প্ৰেছাৰ এনেকুৱা ৰিজন যিকিও নহওক এনেকৈ বস্তুটো যেতিয়া টাচ কৰিলোঁ কিন্তু প্ৰথম অৱস্থাত মই বুলিয়ে নহয় যিমান পালোঁ মই আজিলৈকে ৰিহেবিলিটেশ্যন চেণ্টাৰত কাম কৰি মেলিও ষ্টাৰ্টিঙতে কোনো ড্ৰাগছটো বা এনেকুৱা মাদক দ্ৰব্য ষ্ট্ৰেইট টাচ কৰি দিয়া নাথাকে চব ষ্টাৰ্টিঙত সৰু বস্তু পাই আগবাঢ়ে যেনে ধৰক চিগাৰেট হ'ল তামোল হ'ল চাদা হ'ল এনেকুৱাৰ পৰা ষ্টেপ বাই ষ্টেপ কৰি গাঞ্জালৈ আগবাঢ়িলোঁ ময়ো কৰি তাতে মেডিচিনছ যেনেকৈ আমাৰ চৌধুৰী ছাৰে ক'লে ইউজ কৰা আৰু মিছ ইউজ কৰা সেইখিনি ইউজ কৰি এটা কম সময়ৰ কাৰণে এণ্টাৰটেইনমেণ্ট এটা হয় মনটো যেনে ডপামিন ক্ৰিয়েশ্যন এইটো মাইণ্ডৰ ডপামিন লেভেলটো বাঢ়ি যোৱাৰ কাৰণে খুব আনন্দ এটা ফিলিং হয় কিন্তু এই ফিলিংটো অলপ দেৰি কাৰণেহে থাকে এবাৰ সেই ফিলিংটো পাই যোৱাৰ পিছত আমি আকৌ সেই ফিলিংটো পাম নেকি বুলি আকৌ আমি আগবাঢ়ি যাওঁ কিন্তু এনেকৈ আগবাঢ়োতে কেতিয়া বস্তুটো ডিপেণ্ডেঞ্চি হৈ গ'লোঁ গমেই নাপালোঁ তেতিয়াহে আমাৰ এইফালে ৰিহেবিলিটেশ্যন চেণ্টাৰ বা এনেকুৱা এটা কনচেপ্ট আহিছে যোনটো মানুহক এটা প্লেটফৰ্ম পাইছে সেইটো মাজতো কনচেপ্টে নাছিলে তো গতিকে আমি ভবাও নাছিলোঁ যে নিচা নোখোৱাকৈও যে জীৱন এটা থাকিব পাৰে তেনেকুৱা আমাৰ আউট অফ মানে কি বুলি ক'ম সেইটো এটা ড্ৰিম নিচিনাহে কথা আছিলে কিন্তু দেখিলোঁ যে আমাৰ যোনটো ছিনিয়ৰ মই যোনটো এতিয়া যোনটোত মই জড়িত আছোঁ মোতকৈ যিকেইটা ছিনিয়ৰ ফেল'শ্বিপ 27 years হৈ গ'ল 30 years হৈ গ'ল সিহঁতি ক্লিন আছে সিহঁতক দেখি মেলি আমি মটিভেট হৈ মেলি আমিও ষ্টেপ ল'লোঁ যে কিজানিবা পাৰি নেকি এটা ষ্টেপ ল'লোঁ 2টা ষ্টেপ ল'লোঁ দেখিলোঁ যে সঁচাকৈয়ে পাৰি আৰু এইটোও দেখিলোঁ যে যোনটো এডিকশ্যনৰ যোনটো লাইফত যোনটো এটা কম সময়ৰ কাৰণে এটা আমি আনন্দ এটা পাইছিলোঁ কিন্তু ৰিকভাৰী সময়ত সেই তাতকৈ ডাবল আনন্দ এটা পাৰ্মানেণ্টলি থাকে এইটো হ'ব পাৰে যে হেৰাই যোৱা প্ৰত্যেক বস্তু আমি ঘূৰাই নাপাব পাৰোঁ এতিয়া হয়তো মোৰ পঢ়া লিখা মোৰ চাকৰিখিনি মই ঘূৰাই নাপালোঁ সেইটো বেলেগ কথা কিন্তু ৰিকভাৰী সময়ত আমি খুবেই সুখী এতিয়া আমি নিজেও সুখী লগত আমি ইয়াত এটা প্লেটফৰ্মো বনাব পাৰিলোঁ য'ত বেলেগ এডিকশ্যন প্ৰব্লেম থকা মানুহ আহি মেলি আমাৰ চাৰেণ্ডাৰ্ড হৈছে শ্বেয়াৰিং কৰিছে আমাৰ লগত যে মোৰো এইটো প্ৰব্লেম আমি এইটো বুজি পাইছোঁ এনেকৈ কৰি আমাৰ যোনটো ড্ৰিম আছিলে এটা ডাঙৰ কমিউনিটি বনোৱা এতিয়া সদ্যহতে মোৰ লগত 30 to 35 মেম্বাৰ আছে একেলগে থাকি ভাল হোৱা আৰু সিহঁতে এতিয়া মোৰ ইয়াত ভলেণ্টিয়াৰলি কামো কৰি আছে আৰু আমি আশাও কৰোঁ যে এই কমিউনিটিটো এনেকৈ বাঢ়ি বাঢ়ি এদিন 1000 পৰা লাখত হ'বগৈ আমাৰ এনেকুৱা আশা এটাতো আছে
Thank you, Narayan Upadhyay sir. বহুত ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট আছিলে আমাৰ কাৰণে কি আমি হয় ইয়াত বহুত ডাইভাৰ্ছ ফিল্ডছৰ এক্সপাৰ্টছ আছে বাট এইটো এটা বহুত ডিফাৰেণ্ট এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চ হয় এটা ডিফাৰেণ্ট ষ্টৰী হয় ফৰ ছামৱান হু হেজ হিমছেল্ফ অৰ হাৰছেল্ফ কাম আউট অফ দ্য জাৰ্ণি আৰু আপুনি সেই ষ্টৰিটো আমাৰ লগত শ্বেয়াৰ কৰিলে চ' সেইটো কাৰণে থেংক ইউ এণ্ড অফক'ৰ্ছ স্পেচিয়েল মেনশ্যন টু প্ৰত্যা বৰ্তন ফৰ কণ্টিনিউইং দ্য ৱৰ্ক আপোনালোকে যোনটো এতিয়া বৰ্তমান কৰি আছে Yeah, next question to, again on that same note, next question to P.K. Chaudhary sir. Ki itya Upadhyay sir mention korile ki kisuman signs thake je he manujon is on the verge of becoming an addict or not. So could you share with us ki kenukwa kisuman signs hoy that the person, his or her family members or neighbors must be alert about. Kenukwa kisuman signs ki hoy ba behavioral কিছুমান পেটাৰ্নছ আছে নি যোনখিনি আমি এলাৰ্ট হৈ থাকিব পাৰোঁ
থেংক ইউ ফৰ দ্য কুৱেশ্যন যিটো প্ৰশ্ন সুধিছা যে এজন ড্ৰাগ আসক্ত কেনেকৈ চিনাক্ত কৰিব পৰা যায় আৰু তেওঁ চিকিৎসাৰ প্ৰয়োজন আছেনে নাই আৰু কি ধৰণে চিকিৎসা কৰিব পৰা যায় প্ৰথম কথা হৈছে ড্ৰাগছ বুলি বা ছাবষ্টেঞ্চ বুলি ক'লে আমি অকল হাৰ্ড ড্ৰাগছ বা হেৰইন বা ব্ৰাউন চুগাৰ কথা নকওঁ অপিয়ড বুলি কয় অপিয়ড গ্ৰুপ বুলি কয় অপিয়ড গ্ৰুপৰ কেইবাটাও চিন্থেটিক প্ৰিপাৰেশ্যন আছে তাৰ ভিতৰত হেৰইনটো এটা আৰু সেইটো খুব বেছি এডিক্টিভ হয় আৰু সেইটো সাধাৰণতে মানুহে ইণ্টাৰভেনাছ ইনজেকশ্যন নি ইউজ কৰে নিজে চেল্ফ ইউজ কৰে তেওঁলোকে কেতিয়াবা আনেও সেইটো ইউজ কৰি দিয়ে আগতে এটা সময়ত মণিপুৰত খুব বেছিকৈ এইডছৰ হৈছিলে কাৰণ তেওঁলোকে শ্বেয়াৰ কৰা নাছিলে দে ইউজ টু use the same syringe from one person to another and they used to contract the AIDS virus, HIV virus to the person. Gotike he khomor beshi asile kintu ajikali there is a lot of programs are there change syringe like change koribo pare but they used to give free sort of a syringe like that. So itia AIDS or hetu komise agotke bahut komise because of the awareness. So সেইটো মই লগতে কেলৈ ক'লোঁ প্ৰাসংগিকতা আনি ক'লোঁ যে হাৰ্ড ড্ৰাগছৰ যিবিলাক চিমটমছ হ'ব প্ৰথমে কেনেকৈ গম পাম ছাপ'জ এ পাৰ্চন ইজ ষ্টাৰ্টিং টেকিং ড্ৰাগছ তেওঁ অলপমান ঘৰৰ পৰা বেলেগে থাকিব ছাডেনলি হি উইল ডিজেপিয়াৰ ফ্ৰম দ্য এছেম্বলি হি গ' টু হিজ বাথৰুম অৰ হিজ বেডৰুম এণ্ড হি উইল টেক ড্ৰাগছ হি পুছ ইনজেকশ্যন অৰ হি চেজ কৰে মানে যোনটো পাউডাৰটো তেওঁলোকে সেই এটা পদ্ধতিত এই পাইপ এটাৰে স্মোক কৰে সেইটো হয়তো চেঞ্জিং কৰা বুলি কয় হোৱাট এভাৰ চ' তেওঁলোকে এই ধৰণৰ এটা বিহেভিয়াৰ দেখাই দিয়ে তেওঁলোকে ইৰিটেবল দে বিকাম ডিষ্টাৰ্বড দে হেভ লছ অফ ইণ্টাৰেষ্ট ফৰ ফেমিলি মেটাৰ্ছ ইন ষ্টাডিজ এণ্ড ছ'চিয়েল লাইফ চ' দে ৰিমেইন এলুভ এৱে ফ্ৰম দ্য ছ'চাইটি চ' যিকোনো এটা ড্ৰাগ এডিক্ট ঘৰত থাকিলে পটকৈ গম পাই যায় যে সি এজন ড্ৰাগ এডিক্ট হয় তাৰ বাহিৰেও টু প্ৰকিউৰ ড্ৰাগছ হি নিড মানি পইচা ক'ৰ পৰা পাব হি চেল হিজ own belongings তাৰ ঘড়ী বেচিব তাৰ মোবাইল ফোন বেচিব পাৰে ইভিন ইজ জিন পেণ্টছ অল কষ্টলি থিংছ হি উইল চেল টু দ্য peddler to get drugs to procure drugs even if it stops then he start taking ornaments from his mother বহুত দেখিছোঁ মাকে কান্দি কান্দি আমাক কয় মোৰ ল'ৰাটোৱে মোক গোটেই অলংকাৰবিলাক বেছি দিলে কিয় বেচিছে কাৰণ ড্ৰাগছৰ কাৰণে পইচা লাগে আজিকালি ইউ ন' যে চিৰণী চুৰ বুলি কয় ইউ ন' হাৰ্ড ডিছ বস্তুটাকে স্নেচ কৰি নিয়ে the ladies goes in the town mostly in metropole cities Guwahati but Dibrugarh হোৱা নাই I think there's no report on that so they snatch the ornaments from the ladies passerby and they sell it গতিকে এনেকুৱা ঘটনা হৈ থাকে so চিলনি চুৰ বুলি কয় like they take it out so এইবিলাক বিভিন্ন ধৰণে তেওঁলোকে পইচাৰ কাৰণে ড্ৰাগছ কিনিবৰ কাৰণে তেওঁলোকে বহুত চেষ্টা কৰে আৰু পইচা পায় পইচা খৰচ কৰি দিয়ে আৰু যেতিয়া এনেকুৱা অৱস্থা হয় হি বিকাম আনমেনেজেবল এট হোম he needs treatment immediately once you detect the person or suspect even that my son or my son is having used to drugs whatever drug it may be opium it may be cannabis it may be alcohol so immediately they should take medical help okay so they need help and once they get the help then finally the doctor will treat the patient, he will try to withdraw. Main thing motivation of the person. However, if you stress somebody, come, go to doctor, you have to get treated. It doesn't work. You have to motivate the person. At least you have to make him understand, not by scolding, by anything else, but by love and affection. See, my son, you have a problem, you need help, I want to help you. Let us go to the center, drug centers or doctor, like that. So that point of time, we have to make the patient treated in the hospital, or later on maybe to shifted to rehab center.
So we'd just like to quickly take another question to Mishra sir. Sir, could you share with us how has the war on drugs campaign rolled out by the current state government yielded results, and any important statistics that you could share with us?
So, as you rightly pointed, it is a war on drugs. Honorable CM sir himself and our DGP sir and the entire police leadership, they are very focused on this. All of us realize that this is one of the biggest problems facing Assam. And in the last 1 year since I joined in Dibrugarh, because you asked stats, I'm telling you, we've had 97 cases registered. So if you break it down, that's an average of almost 8 cases per month. That means 2 cases per week. And we've had 230 arrests. So again, almost 20 arrests per month. And the seizures have been heroin almost 1 kg, brown sugar almost 1 kg, and cannabis more than 100 kilograms. That is in 1 year.
So
this is only for Dibrugarh district.
So 97 cases, and how many, what's the duration that you mentioned?
Just 1 year.
1 year.
So this is only Dibrugarh district. Imagine the situation in the entire Assam. So Assam police is basically doing all that we can to stop this menace and to make sure that in Dibrugarh we have a drugs-free Dibrugarh, and in Assam we have a drugs-free Assam.
So maybe we will just skip this question and move to the conversation that I think we would like to take it to the professors who have been silent for a while. Everything starts with awareness, with education. So how do you think classrooms can be that safe space where you can hold these conversations? Before that, I'd like to also sort of reiterate what Dr. P.K. Chaudhary mentioned, that the person needs to come forward to seek help, which seems like a very, less possibility because they're already in a very different zone. So how, as say educators, classroom is a space where iman youth ase, right? So hey, youth or main space where the heri jaga boli kobo gale classrooms kobo paro. So how do you think कि classrooms at a space, safe space hobo pare, aur jodi hua nai, kele etialeke hua nai, kele hobo pora nai?
Yeah, thank you very much. I was actually very much concerned about this issue since probably my young age itself, because from that time itself we have seen that Dibrugarh has been a hub of all drug activities. But coming to the classroom teaching, from a student to a teacher, if you talk about the classroom, if the classroom can be or can offer a space, then in that case I will say that why the student space is confined inside the classroom. A student space is not confined inside the classroom. There are so many places, you know, the canteen, the lawn, the playground, everywhere, the nooks and corners of the college. But what we have found that nothing has been done so far as drug addiction, drug abuse is concerned. As far as our curriculum is concerned, there is no inclusion of drug education in our curriculum. And apart from that, you know, if we have to do or think about certain activities, like we give priorities to assignment works. So these assignment works are also very area specific. I have never seen that this kind of an initiative has been taken so far. So I must thank you for taking this initiative. But my concern again is not limited within this space offered by you. And that is that assignment work and ending it up with a talk show. I mean, the purpose will be served if we go beyond that. And what is important, that we teachers have very limited time to interact with students. But we are available outside the classroom, and we can certainly offer support provided we are informed and we know about it as well. What I have observed, and this is the recent scenario, that the peer group has been very strong nowadays. The peer group knows about each other very well. So if some change can be offered, it is only by the peer group this can be carried forward. It is only by the peer group, their discussion, their interaction with the teachers can bring about a change. Otherwise, with the curriculum, with the syllabus, with the minimalities, we can't think about offering a space for drug addiction or abuse. Thank you.
Rashmi ma'am, I would like to know your thoughts on the same.
Ma'am has already addressed most of the question. However, I do think that there is the possibility that, say, at a university level or a college level, if we are interacting with students on a regular basis, when we say have our mentoring sessions or at least our one-on-one conversations, if we at least try and get to know our students on a deeper level and build a relationship with them and build a space where they feel safe to share their thoughts, there is the possibility that we may be able to tap on to some issues they may be facing that they may not be able to share with their family, but because of the relationship that we have built with the students, they may open up and share with us that this is something that I'm facing with and I need help with. So of course we don't have a curriculum which sort of it is designed to address this issue, but we as teachers can build that space for our students so that they feel that they can come and talk to us, and through that, if we have a channel to say we have Pratyavatan here, to take it forward, we can tell them at least that this is you have help, you don't have to worry that you cannot come out of it, you can come out of it, right? So that channel has to be made. I think that could be done. That is how classrooms could utilize. For example, right now what we are doing, something that was a project is now being pushed into the society, something that we could take forward and we should take forward. These things could be done on a more regular basis. More colleges, more universities should focus on social issues like this. And when we have tools of PRs, the campaigning or advertisements and our communication tools, why not use those tools to actually reach out to the audience, the people who need this, right? So this is what I think is.
If I am asked to add up to her what she has said, that assignment works. You see, as I have said, peer pressure. So peer group is a very strong group. So nowadays, with the assignment works, if this kind of assignments are included in the curriculum and also field work is assigned to it, if more and more students are involved in this group assignment works, I think their awareness also increase and they will be able to come forward with this issue. I think that way you can start the journey, and this could be a very good beginning, if not anything else.
I think that's already a ready idea that we have, ready to be implemented. So that's great. And as Rashmi ma'am pointed out, I think the teacher-student relationship is very underrated. It's not talked about that how teachers can also provide that safe space, sometimes which is missing at home, which is okay, which is absolutely fine, and which is why we are here to talk about the same. So now coming to Lavana ma'am. So ma'am, classroom initiatives are kotha mention korile. And we were also talking about how we want our conversation to be goal-oriented. So do you think Pratyavatan or say colleges or schools, heikini kiba initiatives lobole parim in the near future?
আমিতো এনেই আপোনাৰ স্কুলৰ এৱাৰনেছ আমি অলৰেডি দিওঁ আমি এনেকৈ স্কুলে দিছোঁ তেনেকুৱা যদি আৰু আমি আৰু চেষ্টা অব্যাহত ৰাখিম এইটো বিষয়ত স্কুল আৰু কলেজত এৱাৰনেছ দিয়াৰ বাবে তেওঁলোকৰ লগত আমি যোগাযোগো কৰিম ভাল হ'ব তেতিয়া এইটো এটা আমাৰ পৰিকল্পনা আছে আৰু আমি অলৰেডি আগতেও কৰিছোঁ গতিকে এতিয়া এইটোৰ ওপৰত আমি বেছি এটা গুৰুত্ব দিম কৰাৰ কাৰণে আৰু সেইটোৱে এতিয়া আমাৰ হাতত আছে এটা আহিলা যিটো আমি এৱাৰনেছৰ জৰিয়তে তেওঁলোকক অলপ সচেতন কৰিব পাৰিম এইখিনি আৰু আমিতো ক'বহে পাৰিম বা বুজাব পাৰিম তো গতিকে সেইখিনি মই ভাবোঁ এইখিনি আমাৰ ফালৰ পৰা আমি কৰিম আৰু তেওঁলোকৰ ফালৰ পৰা স্কুল কলেজখিনিৰ ফালৰ পৰা ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰী বা শিক্ষক শিক্ষয়িত্ৰীসকলৰ পৰা আৰু সেইখিনিতো পামেই সমৰ্থনটো পামেই এতিয়া বাইদেউহঁতেও কৈছে সেইখিনি কথাকে তো সেইটো আমি আমাৰ ফালৰ পৰা সম্পূৰ্ণৰূপে চেষ্টা কৰিম আমি চলাই যোৱাৰ কাৰণে
Great, fantastic. So just again quickly going to Krishna Dwara ma'am. So I think in one of our conversations that we had, apuni etu kotha mention korisile je Dibrugarhor then versus now. Hey situation to change hua nai with regards to this cause. Aru ene kiba horuke kiba heri koboni aru kiba notes amar logot share koribo neki how because you have been a citizen of Dibrugarh, you have lived so for long. So kisman changes apuni dekhise kisman dekha nai with this regard. So kisman enka points mention koribo ni surprising fact jonkini etia to change hoise ba change hua nai then versus now.
Being a citizen of Dibrugarh for quite a long time, from a student to a teacher, so I have to say the situation has not changed. So before 20 years, probably when I was studying, we have marked certain students, certain classmates of ours, and that time being peers, actually they have shared certain things with us. They have also admitted that they are taking drugs, they are taking opium, and all the intoxicating agents, probably they are addicted to and recovered to at the same time. But what we have seen right at this moment, the sharing is not there with us, but it is only on observations. So we have observed actually certain behaviors from our students. Many of the students comes or addicted to weeds. They take weeds. I would say a good percentage of students takes weed. And probably, as far as drugs is concerned, substance is concerned, is to be rightly termed as, it's a very critical terms. And for us, it is not easy to identify that behavior of, severe drugs addicts. We can only see some symptomatic students who come to the examination hall and then, they slip down in the benches itself. So initially, it was difficult for me when I experienced to judge what exactly has happened to him. Then I talked to him, "Cheki hol, tumi hui kele asa?" Nai ma'am, moi rati mor tuponi aha nai. Ekarone mor khub tuponi dhorise, ratipua moi bike cholai ahilu, moi ekো khোৱা নাই আৰু এতিয়া মোৰ এখানে খুব টোপনি ধৰিছে। তো মই যেতিয়া সেই ষ্টুডেণ্টজনক আনি পেলাই কেণ্টিনৰ পৰা বস্তু আনি তেওঁক খুৱাওঁ, মূৰত পানী দি অলপ শুবলৈ তুমি অকণমান দেৰি 10 মিনিট ৰেষ্ট লোৱা, তাৰপিছত তুমি পৰীক্ষা আনচাৰ কৰিবা, তেতিয়া মই দেখোঁ মোৰ কলিগবিলাকে দূৰৰ পৰা হাঁহি আছে। চ' মই কথাটো একচুৱেলি বুজি পোৱা নাই। তাৰপিছত মোক হয়তো মোক কলিগকেইজনে কয় যে আপুনি ভাল ভঙা এটাক খোৱালেগৈ গৈ। So this kind of experiences are very common for us. And certain cases, aru kisuman experience amar ase, ketiaba hoyto ami classroomot পঢ়াই থকাৰ মাজত কোনোবা এজন ষ্টুডেণ্ট হঠাতে ওলাই গৈছে বাহিৰলৈ আৰু বা তাত গৈ পেলাই বাহিৰত গৈ হাঁহি আছে। তো তেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ কেছো আমি পাইছোঁ আৰু তেনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ কেছ আমি যেতিয়া পাওঁ, we are very much concerned about it, as you have talked about providing with the space in the classroom. আৰু তেনেকুৱা ক্ষেত্ৰত আমি তেওঁলোকৰ পেৰেণ্টছক খবৰ দিছোঁ যে যিহেতু আমি তেওঁক আইডেণ্টিফাই কৰা নাই যে তেওঁ ড্ৰাগ এডিক্ট নে বেলেগ তেওঁ কিবা বেলেগ কিবা প্ৰব্লেম তেওঁ হৈছে, কিন্তু আমি তেনেকৈ আমাৰ ষ্টুডেণ্টবিলাকক পেৰেণ্টছক খবৰ দিম যে আপোনাৰ ল'ৰাটোৰ বিহেভিয়াৰ অকণমান আমি শ্বকিং পাইছোঁ, হয়তো তেওঁ কিবা এটা ছাপৰ্টৰ দৰকাৰ হয়, সেইকাৰণে তেওঁলোকক মাতি পেলাই আমি তেনেকৈ খবৰ দিয়া আমাৰ এক্সপিৰিয়েঞ্চো আছে। গতিকে কথাটো হ'ল কি, দ্য প্ৰব্লেম ইজ নট য়েট ছল্ভড, দ্য প্ৰব্লেম ইজ কণ্টিনিউইং এণ্ড প্ৰব্লি গোয়িং মোৰ ছিভিয়াৰ, এণ্ড দ্যাট ইজ দ্য গ্ৰেটেষ্ট concern for all of us, that what is the future of Dibrugarh, how our children are going to cope up with it.
Very important question for sure of the evening, the answers to which আমি বিচাৰিবলৈ চেষ্টা কৰিছোঁ। So this is a shared question to Mishra sir and Dr. P.K. Chaudhary. So of course, both of your approaches are different. The police force will take a different kind of an action. Doctor fraternity is going to take a different kind of an action, which is both say on the hard side and the soft side. So is there any kind of possibility that we can see these forces working together, and like Dwara ma'am mentioned, he ityaleke changes dekha nai. Hoyto aru cooperation amak lage ni ba kuntu fronter amak lage. Sir.
Yeah, drug use is a stigmatic disease, like many other diseases, like leprosy and other communicable diseases in the past. Okay, now people start, boycott either people who used to have drugs. So once a person who has been on drugs has left drugs, will not get re-employment in the same job, simply because he was a drug addict. So he is already blacklisted. So this is one of the main problems. The person becomes frustrated, and during the course of frustration, they again go back to drugs. I'm unwanted, nobody is wanting me, even my family members are neglecting me. They always tell you are drug addict, you are this and that. So there is a great amount of frustration comes out. So main thing is one thing we have not mentioned so far about the awareness program. So we have not mentioned about the role of media, print media as well as your other media, and also IEC, Information, Education and Communication, which is a very important. So we have to see the risk factor, risk-prone areas, which are the areas that like slum areas where a lot of people stay together and there are a lot of people who take drugs. So we have to target those areas, and our IEC, Information, Education, Communication, so go to that area by group. We should make the printing media and the media to project this thing. And education is very important. We have to have different street meetings or meetings in the areas by some people who are really volunteering for the addiction. So this is very important area. So once we talk about drug and people start knowing that this is a bad thing, we should not take it. Now main thing, before I say anything, about the prevention, which is very important part. Before we go for rehabilitation, let us start prevention. We have got three types of prevention: primary prevention, secondary prevention and tertiary prevention. A primary prevention refers to the steps we take not to have another drug addict in our society. Suppose in our society there are 5,000 people staying, and we have identified 500 people having drug problem. So we have to see that not a single person, a young person will go to drug again. So our efforts should focus on how to make primary prevention, not to create another drug addict in the same society. So this is very important. So this is for primary prevention. Then secondary prevention, yes, these are people having drugs problem. We need to rehabilitate them, we need to treat them. So this is secondary prevention. And tertiary prevention refers to rehabilitation. Once he is out of drugs, where he will go? He is not accepted anywhere. So there should be certain groups, self-help groups. We have to create it among the drug addicts. Suppose in a rehab center, there are 5 people who are very good in tailoring. There are 5 people who are good in other carpentry works. So these groups can make an association and they can start doing some job like that. Why 1 year is a very crucial period? Why 1 year I call it the Lakshman Rekha? We have to stay there. Number one, the chemical changes takes place in the brain, dopamine and other substances are there, which gives a feeling of, sort of a rewarding center is there. So they do not erase soon. It takes 1 year to go off from the brain memory about the drugs. If I do not take tea or coffee for 1 year, I would like to take a tea and coffee after 1 year, because my memory cells will not carry any the pleasure of taking tea or coffee. It will gradually erase. So once you're off drugs, you have to deactivate your memory, your situation off from the drug. Otherwise, you will take drug again. This is a very critical point, very crucial point. Nobody thinks about that. So, okol drugs nakhabole nohobo, drug khai nohobo. Ami poribesh to change koribo lagibo.
Yeah, the question to Mishra sir.
So I think the way I understand your question is you were asking whether there are any synergies that can be used between all the stakeholders that are sitting here. So yes, there are. A very simple example, I was just talking to Mr. Upadhyay. I was telling him that all the drug addicts that come to your place, they now have an intention of leaving behind this problem. That means they would be willing to give us information in order to end the problem of drugs. So if we send our teams there, in fact I am already sending my teams there. So if we send our teams, we can get information about who are the suppliers of drugs. At least some peddlers we can identify from there. The second thing is, since professors from the university are here, we need to be on a lookout for syringes. If in the dustbin, if you can instruct all the sweepers, if there are syringes found in any of the dustbins, if that can be pointed out, we can then start our information from there. So definitely synergies exist. And regarding the legal framework, because you asked, can we have a hard and soft approach? The law itself is framed in such a way that there is a hard and soft approach. If you read the NDPS Act, the Act itself says that if it is a small quantity, the punishment is less, up to 2 years. And if the person pleads that he wants to go for rehab, he is not prosecuted. That is at the trial stage. But if it is an intermediate quantity, the quantity is defined in a schedule, then the punishment is up to 10 years. And he does not have this plea. He cannot take a plea that, okay, I want to go for rehab and hence leave me. And if it is a commercial quantity, then it is even more severe. He cannot even ask for bail if before trying to plea for bail, the public prosecutor has to be consulted, and if we oppose, then the bail gets opposed. So again, there is one more issue there, that we have to submit our charge sheets well within time. So the 97 cases I was telling you about, in all those 97 cases, we have the mandate to submit the charge sheet within the stipulated time of 60 days. So it is decent amount of work being basically put on the shoulders of our IOs and our sub-inspectors who are at the forefront of this war.
Okay, so I think what we understand is it's a equally intensive process, and at the same time equally intensive process at a micro and a macro level to get to the root of this problem and maybe try and find solutions to it. Mane issue to both sensitive hoy, deep hoy, and right sir rightly mentioned ki synergy to both important hoy. So I think we do not have much questions. We are almost coming to the end of the session. So it will last question hoy, and of course it's open to everyone, open to the panel. So realization is the solution, adaptation is evolution. First one to easy hoy because it at a personal level ot manue hoy to koribo pare. To Narayan Upadhyay sir junto motivation heri kotha to kole apuni story to kotha kole apna personal journey. Realization to ami personal levels ot koribo paru, but when it comes to adaptation, you're not adapting in silo. You're doing it with the society, which means there are so many stakeholders involved which could be in favor or against you. So again, going back to what SP sir mentioned about a drug-free Dibrugarh, how can these different agencies come together to tackle this problem? A message that you want to leave it for the audience and our viewers today.
Well, my take on it is, see, the supply is coming from a foreign country. There is very little we can do about it. What we can make sure that does not happen is, we can finish off the transit line, we can finish off the last mile delivery. We can basically round up all the peddlers and make sure that they remain in jail. So that is our current focus. For that, the support that we need is, if there is any information. Right now, I don't find that the information is forthcoming. We'll have to engage a lot many sources. Some of them give us information, some of them give false information. So, but it's not forthcoming from the public as such. So if the public starts giving us information, our police control room numbers are out there in the public. I'll mention it here for the benefit of the entire audience. It's 6026-901-302. This is the number of our police control room. I hope that gets flashed. So if any information, the police control room remains active 24/7. Even at night, if you have some information, just pass it on. We'll make sure that there is a response to it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone would like to add to it? Take a shot, sir. Yeah.
People come to us and they first tell us, please don't inform police. So we have to maintain a confidentiality also, right? So he is taking drugs, but he's not a peddler. So this is the issue which requires some little debatable issue, whether a clinician or treating doctors or a center should inform the police about the person or not. So what's your take about it?
We should see what is in the greater benefit of the public as such. So confidentiality, while it serves the purpose of the trust between the physician and the patient, anyway we are not going to arrest that person who is a victim who has come for treatment. The only thing we need from him is the information as to from where he got the supply. So even if we go to the people who are currently there in the rehab centers, we will not go and take action against them, we will not prosecute them. What we need is information about the suppliers.
That can be done, I think.
Any take on the same question?
Thank you. Yeah, so I just want to add to it. Of course, প্ৰথমতে আমি সদায় try কৰিব লাগে যে prevent কৰিব কাৰণে, right? Prevention is the key. And then say prevention হোৱা নাই, কোনোবা already drug abuse কৰিব আৰম্ভ কৰিছে, and then parents have recognized it, or somebody close to the person, or even teachers like us have recognized that এই ল'ৰাটো বা ছোৱালীজনী already drugsৰ কবলত পৰিছে, right? So I think the best step is to not hide it from the, not hide it, and instead take action on it. যে লুকুৱাই থোৱাতকৈ মই যদি হেল্প ল'ব পাৰোঁ কাৰোবাৰ পৰা, মই হেল্প লওঁ, যাতে এনেকুৱা হ'ব নালাগে যে তুমি পিছত তোমাৰ চিটুৱেশ্যনটো ইমানেই বেয়া হৈ গ'ল, ইমানেই আগবাঢ়ি গ'ল যে there is no way back, there is no way you can turn back and cure yourself, and then you feel that you're stuck, right? So before it becomes too bad and it goes out of hand, let's just approach the people who can help us. আমাৰ ইয়াত doctors আছে, আমাৰ ইয়াত social workers আছে, তেওঁলোকে already কৰি আছে এইটো ফিল্ডত কাম. So let's not stop at just recognizing that there is an issue. Let's seek help, and let's prevent it. Let's end it. Yeah.
You are the one to bring the revolution. We are there in your support, and we'll always be there for you. So this is my appeal to my students, that please do that. Please do something for your friends. Please do something for yourself. Please help us to remove drugs from our society. Thank you.
সেইটোৱে, গতিকে আমি প্ৰথমতে আমি নিজে সচেতন হ'ব লাগিব, সমাজ সচেতন হ'ব লাগিব, শিক্ষক শিক্ষয়িত্ৰীসকল সচেতন হ'ব লাগিব, ছাত্ৰ ছাত্ৰীসকল সচেতন হ'ব লাগিব। বাইদেৱে কোৱাৰ দৰে ময়ো অনুৰোধ কৰিব বিচাৰোঁ, আহক আমি এখন ড্ৰাগমুক্ত সমাজ গঢ়োঁ, তাৰ কাৰণে আমি সকলো আগবাঢ়ি আহোঁ। আৰু আজি এই মঞ্চখন শেষ মঞ্চ বুলি ধৰিব নালাগে, আজিৰ প্ৰায় আৰম্ভণি বুলি ধৰি সকলোৱে যদি আমি সহযোগ কৰোঁ, নিশ্চয় আমি সফল হ'ম এখন ড্ৰাগছমুক্ত সমাজ গঢ়াৰ বাবে। ধন্যবাদ।
So with this, we come to the end of our session. So হয়তো মানুহে ক'ব পাৰে কি এনেকুৱা কেম্পেইনছ আগতেও বহুত হৈছে, say no to drugs, #ABCDEFG. But what is the USP of this campaign? What do you think is the USP of this campaign?
A, we are the youth, and B, we are mass communication student, and nobody knows it better than us how to make this like step reach to the masses. Also, আমি বহুত conversations চাওঁ regarding women empowerment, poverty and everything, but then when we start talking, as soon as like in our social experiments, as soon as we utter the word drugs, আমাক নুসুধিব, আমি নিদো answer, they just like back off. So the USP of our campaign is we are just not saying say no to drugs. What we are doing is we are starting a conversation. We are trying to encourage people that you need to come forward and talk about it. Or maybe if you know someone who is like using substance, then you need to have a conversation with that. Like Trishna ma'am has said, she once fed a student and like other colleagues of her were laughing. That's our objective exactly. We need people like Trishna ma'am who would recognize that this person needs help, and not just like say ये तो drugs खाई से क्यों feed करिए सा. So we need to tell these people that you guys are not alone, and we need to be the help that they need, and show them that like addiction is a disease. Just like we go to hospital when we have fever or anything. Just like that, we have cure to this disease, and we need to make them understand that they are not alone, because if they realize we are alone, then they go into that gut more deeper. So we need to pull them up, we need to be the helping hand, we need to be the conversation starter. So I think this is our differentiation, this is our USP that makes our campaign different from all the other campaigns regarding drugs. Thank you.
My question is also for the team. How important is it that you think students should take more oftenly initiatives like this?
Thanks for the question. First of all, I would like to thank Rashmi ma'am. As a student, I have initiative encourage আৰু মই ভাবোঁ কি ষ্টুডেণ্ট এজ এ ইউথ আমি এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ ইনিচিয়েটিভ ল'ব লাগে, কাৰণ আমিয়ে হৈছে ভৱিষ্যত, মানে দেশৰ ভৱিষ্যত, নহয় জানো? আমি যদি আমাৰ দেশৰ কাৰণে, আমাৰ সমাজৰ কাৰণে, আমাৰ সমাজত যোনবোৰ ব্যাধি চলি আছে সেইবোৰৰ কাৰণে যদি আমিয়ে কাম নকৰোঁ তেন্তে কোনে কৰিব? যেনেকৈ আমাৰ ফ্ৰেণ্ডছবোৰ বা আমাৰ ফেমিলি মেম্বাৰ্ছ কোনোবা যদি এডিক্ট হৈছে, আমি যদি তেওঁলোকৰ কাৰণে কাম কৰি আছোঁ, তেতিয়া ইনডাইৰেক্টলি বা ডাইৰেক্টলি আমি সমাজৰ কাৰণে কাম কৰি আছোঁ। চ' আই থিংক অকল আমিয়ে নহয়, আৰু যিমান ষ্টুডেণ্ট আছে বা যিমান ইউথ আছে, তো মই ভাবোঁ কি সকলোৱে এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ ইনিচিয়েটিভ ল'ব লাগে, চ' যাতে ভৱিষ্যতে, যদি বৰ্তমানটোৱে ঠিক নহয়, ভৱিষ্যতটো কেতিয়াও ঠিক হ'ব নোৱাৰে। তো এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ ইনিচিয়েটিভ ল'ব লাগে, আৰু আমাৰ যাতে ভৱিষ্যতে এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ সামাজিক ব্যাধিৰ পৰা দেশখন বা আমাৰ সমাজখন মুক্ত হৈ থাকিব পাৰে, তো সেইকাৰণে ময়ো অনুৰোধ জনাম কি এনেকুৱা ধৰণৰ ইনিচিয়েটিভবোৰ লওক যাতে আমি যেনেকৈ লৈছোঁ। থেংক ইউ।
Hello everyone. So we all know that about the diplomacy of the society, that when this kind of diplomacy, it comes to such issues, the society becomes very diplomatic. So this question is for the team, that can you give one example that you face some diplomacy when you go through such campaigns?
Thank you, Azmi, for the question. So when we talk about the diplomacy of the society, what we did to figure it out was that we took a 2-day social experiment. So what we did in the social experiment is that first day we did a questionnaire survey where we asked questions to people of all the age groups, that is starting from teens to adults and irrespective of any gender. So we asked questions about drug rehabs and drug addicts. Would you help if you figure it out that in your family or around the surroundings you find anyone who is drug addict? So mostly people were like, definitely, we would definitely try to help, or we would reach them out, or some of them even said that yeah, they had family members who actually were addicted once but they got cured by going in drug rehabs. So this was the things that we got just from the people from Dibrugarh town, that yes, they would help. But what happened in the second day of our social experiment, we made some of our friends drug addicts. They played the role of drug addicts, and we went around Dibrugarh town, like in the bus stands or like in the crowded places, or like where the students are there, or in even Brahmaputra dike places where this drug addiction is prevalent. So what we saw that we got various kind of reactions, like people were like very keenly looking at them, giving them looks. They were like ato yapa mukh nusubi enake nokoribi. So उन लोगों ने मतलब हटाने का स्टार्ट कर दिया कि हमारे पास मत आओ, ये मत करो, वो मत करो. And then there were also people like groups who were like कि चलो चलो इसको मारते हैं बोल के. They were like कि अभी मारना है, या he is not a good person, कुछ भी कर रहे थे उन लोग के साथ में. और क्या हो रहा था, there were also people, we saw रिक्शा वाला who were like कि हमें आप बस फेयर दे दीजिए, हम आपको पेडलर तक ले जाएंगे. Nobody actually said that हम आपको रिहैब तक ले जाएंगे या हम आपको हेल्प करेंगे. But there were people like हम आपको ड्रग पेडलर्स तक ले जाएंगे. Even shopkeepers, merchants, there were many people like that who were like कि हम आपको ड्रग पेडलर्स तक ले जाएंगे, आप हमें बस फेयर दे दीजिए. तो that was so shocking. So यही डिप्लोमेसी हमें देखने को मिलता है कि first the people were like they are gonna help. But secondly we saw nobody talked about drug rehab or said बेटा आप मत करो ये, but they were like कि हम आपको ले जाएंगे drug peddlers के पास में. So this is the kind of diplomacy we actually see in the society, and it is really very sad. Thank you.